What up, everyone? Today I wanted to do this video about a guest on a Radio Canada TV show, a talk show, where one of the guests, a journalist, essayist, and writer, Denise Bombardier, made a comment that really bothered, or maybe bothers the wrong word, but at least caused a fairly significant reaction in francophone communities across Canada, but outside of Quebec. So, Miss Bombardier was one of the guests on the talk show Tout, monde, parle. It's at Radio Canada, so a French CBC talk show. Also a guest on the talk show was ex-Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. The two had a discussion about the state of the French language in Canada, and this is where the comment in question was made. Her comment, now this will be a rough translation. Her comment was, across the country, most of the francophone communities have pretty much disappeared. She adds, there's still a little bit in Ontario, in Manitoba, of which she visited in January. She went to see Métis communities, and they don't speak French anymore. Now, this was during their episode on October 21st. She later in the week, she would do an interview with Radio Canada, and where she would address these comments. In that interview, she made a comment where she talked about Franco-Ontarians as an example. She said it's a culture of surviving, and Franco-Ontarians are succeeding in their survival, and that she does respect that, but she does not respect Jean Chrétien when he said during his appearance that it's because of Canada and federal politics that French is still spoken in this country. She said, "We speak French despite that." She also added that it seems like the francophone communities outside of Quebec have a thin skin. Now, in the interview after her appearance on the talk show, the vice president of la région de Winnipeg et la Fédération Métis du Manitoba, so it's a Métis organization. The vice president of that organization, Mr. Andre Carrier, he pointed out that there are still at least 20% of the Métis population in Manitoba that still speaks French. Now, before I go into analyzing some of these comments, I want to point out some facts on the number of French speakers in this country. To do that, we're going to look at the census, the 2016 census. Now, the first numbers I'm going to quote will be the population of the province or territory, followed by people who say their mother tongue is French. So, and from that you should be able to see where English fits in. Alright, so starting with Newfoundland and Labrador, 515,686. That's their population, with 2,355 saying mother tongue is French. Prince Edward Island, 141,020 people with mother tongue, with the French mother tongue would be 4,865. In Nova Scotia, the population is 912,295. Mother tongue, now with a French mother tongue, that number would be 29,465. New Brunswick, 736,280. That's the overall population. People saying their mother tongue is French would be 231,110. Moving to Quebec, an overall population of 8,066,560. Those saying their mother tongue is French would be 6,219,665. In Ontario, the overall population 13,312,870. Those claiming a French mother tongue would be 490,720. Manitoba, the overall population 1,261,602. Those claiming French as a mother tongue would be 40,524. Saskatchewan, overall population 1,083,235. French mother tongue is 15,095. Alberta, we got an overall population of 4,026,650. Those claiming French as a mother tongue would be 72,155. British Columbia, 4,598,415. Those claiming mother tongue would be 57,425. Yukon has a population of 35,560, with those claiming French as a mother tongue would be 1,570. Northwest Territories, population of 41,360. Those claiming French as a mother tongue, 1,170. Finally, Nunavut, 35,690 people. Those claiming French as a mother tongue, 595. The next numbers I'm going to give, which were based on the 2016 census, based on that census, are those that say they speak French at home, or most often. Newfoundland and Labrador, 935. Prince Edward Island, 2,260. Nova Scotia, 14,465. New Brunswick, 206,350. Quebec, 6,375,670. Ontario, 277,040. Manitoba, 16,865. Saskatchewan, 3,985. Alberta, 27,630. British Columbia, 16,795. Yukon, 860. Northwest Territories, 630. Nunavut, 345. Alright, with these numbers, I feel you should have at least enough context to why this would have caused a reaction in the Francophone communities outside of Quebec. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to also record this interview in English is I feel that although English Canada may not necessarily be united, there are still provinces that may not get along with each other, and these are provinces that are primarily Anglophone. I'm talking about. British Columbia might not necessarily get along too well with Alberta right now over the pipelines. But overall, I do feel that English Canada is a lot more united than French Canada is. It seems like in French Canada there's a lot of infighting. and it's not helping. Not helping at all. I find Ms. Bombardier's comments are extremely ignorant of the reality facing francophones outside of Quebec. I'll say this for several reasons. When you're, and these also might apply to Anglophones who live in Quebec. When you live somewhere where your primary language is not the language of the majority, you could still speak your minority language. You may even still be able to have a school where you get educated in that minority language, all through elementary school, all through secondary school or high school, maybe even post-secondary. You can go through all your education in a minority language. Where outside of Quebec, you can go through that entire education in French. But you're still going to enter the workforce where you're going to need English. To go to a bank to get service, you're probably going to need English. This doesn't mean there's no tellers that could serve you in French, but you're primarily most likely going to need English. To go to the hospital, to get a doctor, you're probably going to need English. To go to a restaurant, to order anything, any food, you're probably going to need English. In Quebec, you reverse that. If you're an Anglophone in Quebec, to go to a restaurant, you're probably going to need French. To go to a doctor, you're probably going to need French. But that doesn't erase the fact that there's still these communities that exist and realistically could still even be thriving, regardless if they're a minority or not. And another part is there is a term, insécurité linguistique, which is linguistic insecurity. I hear a lot of this coming out of Ontario, where people seem to be ashamed of their accent. They're ashamed of how people may treat them if they hear that accent. They don't like that somebody might correct the way they talk. This infighting, if you want to call it that, is one of the causes of this insecurity. And when she talks about pretty much have disappeared, this is what it's playing into. And why I say it's incredibly ignorant. It doesn't take into account any of the challenges that these communities face, and it doesn't offer any solutions to any of those challenges that they're facing. Now, also to add, another reason why a lot of people reacted is a lot of francophones outside of Quebec are fed up with being seen as assimilated, where a Quebecer may look at, just say, a Franco-Ontarian or an Acadian or a Franco-Manitoban, put Franco in front of the demonym for whatever province or territory you're from. They're fed up of being seen as no different than the Anglophone population of that area, regardless of their ability to speak French, regardless of if they were educated in French at that level, or even if they work in their language, in their jurisdiction. And another source of frustration is French CBC, Radio Canada. Now, I understand why it might have a more Quebec-centric coverage, why a lot of the focus will be on Quebec, where most of the French speakers are. I understand that. I'm sure everybody else understands that too. However, that doesn't mean everything has to be there and the rest of the communities outside of that province get very little. There's a feeling in the communities that it might as well be called Radio Québec instead of Radio Canada. And it's for these reasons that these comments are ignorant and rightfully did cause a reaction. Now, this isn't to say that she didn't necessarily have a point, that maybe years ago that the Francophone populations in the rest of the country may have been higher percentages. Like, of course, populations everywhere have grown, but maybe the Francophone populations used to be a bigger percentage everywhere else, and maybe they've gone down. Maybe some have fully assimilated and are now Francophone in name only. And when I mean name only, their last name. She may have a point. However, she is completely far off that point. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for watching this video. If you like what you saw, please like the video. If you heard any points you'd like to continue talking about, anything you disagree with, anything you agree with, consider leaving a comment. Let's continue the discussion. Also, consider subscribing. Once again, thank you for watching this video. Have yourself a good day.